and welcome to today's episode. My name is Tom Rolley for System.io.dev. This is our 5th episode exploring the problem that arises when your business actually succeeds. You've got through that initial growth phase, things have been going well, sales are increasing, you brought on team, and then suddenly you start to run into some serious problems. So we've looked at this as a problem that your team basically have to ask you for everything to do. That you are the source of how to do things, you're the troubleshooter, as well as being the leader and the guidance for where we're going. They come to you and you have to tell them what to do. Next up, this means that you've got no time, that all of your time is spent managing your people, and so there's no actual time for you to do your work. And we looked at the problem around either that you just finish at 5 or 6 p.m. and just don't do that leadership work, or you almost begin a second workday for 3 or 4 hours into the night to get that work done. And then yesterday, we looked at the problem of quality control, that essentially because you're the one that tells people what to do, there can be a gap between what you said to do and what actually happens, particularly as it gets further along. It's almost like Chinese whispers. Oh, I thought we were doing it this way. And in the current realm of COVID with a lot of remote work, this actually gets a lot worse. And you may find people just creating their own ways of doing things just to get by. So there is yet another challenge for you. If that wasn't enough, you're like, oh, surely that's enough. Oh my goodness, what else could come from this? Well, there's one more problem, and that is that you don't know what your team did. Sure, payroll comes around and you're like, okay, I've got to pay the money, but if I came to you and said, look, well, show me what got done last week. First of all, let's ask you that question. Well, what did you do last week? And if you can't pull that up, then that's a problem. But a bigger problem is that you can't actually know what your team did. So yes, you pay a lot of money. Yes, they worked a lot of hours, but if we actually look for optics on what got done, often that is missing. Now, this is a serious problem, not only for you, but also for your team, that they can't see what the other team members are working on. And so they either have to interrupt people and say, hey, where are you up to? How's that going? Are we on course? Or it just doesn't get done and suddenly you're managing by emergency. That the deadline approaches and pops up undone work. Oh, I thought you had that. I thought you were doing that. Wasn't that meant to be done before this? And it moves from something that is relatively calm and production is proceeding to emergency mode. This is disruptive. This is relatively inefficient. Yes, it's important to get the work done, but if it's done like that, once again, your risk on quality increases, that you've got poor quality control, and you are just dealing with a stressful situation. As if it wasn't enough already, being the business owner and the entrepreneur, guess what? You get a little bit more stress because your team can't see what they're doing. But this is also a problem for you. You can't actually go, hang on, there's a problem over here. I can see that we're backlogged, that the work is building up over there, because you're blind to it. You don't know what's going on. If you could see, then you could go strategically, okay, let's pull out of that work that can be done a little bit later and redeploy some people to get this work done. And then once that's done, reassess the situation. But you must have optics for this. You must know what your team is working on. And also, in the case of difficulties or looking at problems that arose, it's, as we covered yesterday, so much easier to troubleshoot if you've actually got a record of what was done each week. So this is a problem for you. You must solve this problem. What worked at the beginning, where you're talking and you're managing by meetings and discussing what's going on, that ends. That becomes impossible at a certain level unless you're willing to go to extreme high stress, and even then you might push forward for a little bit more revenue, but eventually you will not go to become a big business from Rich Dad Poor Dad, a business that runs itself, a business that does not require you as the entrepreneur to actually be there. So you could go on holiday, so you could take a dividend without you physically being there. And if you so chose, sell at a much higher valuation than a business that just does not have any optics, any systems, any processes. They're really just buying a job that has not been properly done. If this is a conversation that you know you need to take care of, if you're recognizing any of these problems, and most likely you're recognizing all of them because they're interrelated, then you must get your systems and processes on point. If you want to engage in a conversation with me, your next step, what I want you to do is to head over to www.systemio.dev or click the link if you are on a page where there is a link that is clickable. Take you to the homepage. Go enter your name and email there. Thanks so much for joining in today's episode. I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's episode as we continue this exploration of the power of systems and processes in business. See you then.